All right. Mike McCoy finally gets the Chargers an important win this time in 2025, and it is as the opposing coach. Chargers win 27-20, a game that was much closer than it needed to be, but the Chargers end up getting the win. They are 6-3. Titans fall to 1-8, and they're just playing for draft pick at this point. So I guess there's a lot of things we can talk about, and we don't have to start with the bad off the rip, but let's just talk about Herbert today so far. So obviously early on, there's that pick six to Cody Barton where Barton just read Herbert's eyes, undercut the curl route, and it was an easy pick six to start the game, which was no good for the Chargers to start. But after that, settled down after halftime, 250, had 2 passing touchdowns, had 1 rushing touchdown. Overall, pretty good game, but really closed the door towards the end of the game to help win it for the Chargers.
So it was Groundhog Day in almost the worst way from last Thursday with Herbert, because as we know, there was the pick six that wasn't against the Vikings, followed up by and that was on his first attempt last week. This time it was his second pass, I think. And this one, he saw this one through. When you're talking about telegraphing a pass, he was staring down Keenan the entire time. And that is also a really good job by the linebacker there of watching film, because I'm sure he's almost seen that play millions of times in just the last however many days they've been scouting the Chargers, because they do it fairly often, especially out of that formation and set. So, kudos to him, but also to Justin Herbert for rebounding after that. It's funny. I don't want to use a Harbaugh'ism because he says a lesser man would have given in or whatever. One of the ways he glazes Herbert on a weekly basis. Find somebody that loves you the way Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert, by the way. Yeah. The fact that he was able to recover from that and have a very, very good game under all of the circumstances, the offensive line, well, specifically the tackles, the ones that they have left, going down again, Joe Alt out again, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Herbert would still be able to kind of muster up what it took to get the job done. And I was really critical of him in the first half for not using his legs enough. Well, he comes out in the second half and kills all of that noise by using them to great effect, extending plays, keeping drives going, and scoring his first rushing touchdown of the year. So, as we're talking about Herbert, I think he's the guy that we definitely want to take our caps off to first.
Yeah. Nice little slide at the end of that touchdown too.
It's becoming his signature thing, right?
Yeah, it kind of felt like it. This is my new thing.
Yeah. Same slide from the Chiefs game. Same.
Yep. Thing. Yeah, absolutely. And was the leading rusher today. Had 57 on the ground. Yeah, and it was big today for Herbert to use his legs. It was really essential towards that last drive. That bootleg right, and then getting Herbert out in space left, which ended up being just a half a yard short of the first down. But they had the real heavy package in. They sold it that they were going to rush it, which I thought they were going to do too. Bootleg outside. You got Herbert on an island, and he, comes close to first down. They're able to do the electric slide, by the way, which I know the telecast was trying to figure out what the tush push version of the Chargers is going to be. And we already said it's the electric slide. The power surge or whatever, not good. There was another one he said, Charger charge or something. It was,
there's mine. You're gonna have to pause it every time you say it, but I got the thunder thrust. Just
okay. Okay, I didn't know that was on the table.
It might be a little sus, but still, nonetheless, it fits, I think.
Tush push is no less. But
surge breaker, maybe.
The what?
Surge breaker, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm sticking with thunder thrust.
I'm still team electric slide. I love it. I am not in on the charge or the power surge, but that's okay. Either way, they got the first down. It worked I think 3 times on that last drive. They closed it out when they needed to end. Honestly, with all things considered, we'll probably get to all of everything going on today. But from the pick six to the punt return touchdown to tackles going out and everything in between, it just felt like this was a game normally that the Chargers could easily fall apart, especially on the road, and give this game up to the Titans. And it was close early, but it felt like once the Chargers got that stop on the goal line, on the 4th down stop, a turnover on downs, Elijah Molden making a great play, Perryman stood up strong for the stop, but going 99 yards and scoring that touchdown was the absolute like backbreaker for the Titans. And it felt like there was no, and I know it kind of got close towards the end and everything else, but it felt like that's when the game finally flipped and the Chargers were like, no more messing around. We're just going to close this thing out on the road. And they ended up doing that. And it was a really good job from the offense to put that drive together because, we're all thinking like, man, great stop, but also like the 1 yard line, the run game's not going. Your offensive line's a mess right now. Are you going to have to do another whatever electric? Are you going to have to do that quick, Herbert push to give you some room? But it was that quick pass to Gaston, which opened it up immediately, got some space, and they just went downhill from there to kind of help separate themselves and then also, pretty much close out the game from there.
Harbaugh really missed an opportunity there to review what could have potentially been a touchback and put them on the 20 because, I get the whole 99-yard drive. Awesome. But, if you're going to throw the flag in the situation, I think that you maybe want to challenge that to get yourself out of a position where you're talking about even having to defend on the goal line, potentially get the ball back without even having the Titans have an opportunity to put up points. It worked out in the Chargers' favor, so no use crying over spilled milk. But Harbaugh has some very interesting timing with regard to when he chooses to challenge plays. That one for me definitely would have drawn a red flag on my behalf, but I don't get paid to coach Chargers. So collectively, with all the odds stacked against them, let's be honest though, this is the Charger way. No game is ever just easy. Last week is probably the closest to an easy game we're going to get, and that one almost started off in disaster. So there's never a full game, 60-minute game of the Chargers that you're going to be able to sit back and have almost no worries about. They'll do something to you to affect your heart rate and talking about palpitations and all that good stuff. So I liked what I saw from the offense with regard to game plan change from Greg Roman. I want to give Greg Roman a thumbs up for his adjustments at halftime because that's always been a huge thing. Like, you came in with your game plan, but you're also thinking you're going to have your offensive line intact. Well, for what it is now, you lose both of your tackles again, and it seemed like he was waiting or buying his time in the halftime to where he can make the adjustments because you still saw them asking Herbert to drop back on 5 step drops. I didn't see a ton of 7s, but there's still a bunch of 5s where you're waiting for those slow, longer developing routes to get there and get open and open windows. And it just wasn't happening because there wasn't enough time. Now, Herbert, for as great a game as he played, there were some instances where he held the ball way too long.
Yeah.
He's got to know better. You don't have 4 seconds. Hell, you don't have 3. Hell, you don't have 2.5.
Yeah.
So at this point, if read 1 isn't there, read 2 isn't there, you either need to take off or get rid of the ball, one of the two. But what you can't do is sit there and hold it. I get it. You're 6'6", 240 plus pounds. I'm sure Madison enjoys all of that. But when we're talking about football games, in football games, it'll help you hold up for a little bit. But there are these like 300-pound dudes who are like just as tall as you, much larger. They're there to hurt you, not like make you feel better about yourself and your stature. So anyway, you just make better decisions as far as standards concerned. But I digress. Greg Roman did a fantastic job at making the adjustments in the second half. You had more max protect situations. I don't know if he talked to Herbert about getting out of the pocket and running more, but he was definitely more a part of the run game plan because they clearly could not get a whole lot going in the running game. Kamani Vidal did not have a very good day. But the funny part is like, you hear all this talk about, do the Chargers need another running back? And, we've been preaching here for the last few weeks that they absolutely do. We don't care about the 2 stellar performances he had because now, like, it's great game, bad game, great game, bad game. There has to be some level of consistency. And also, you don't want to take chances with him getting hurt. And, they still have to make some adjustments to here in like the next week because the trade deadline is Tuesday. I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit also. But again, collectively, stellar job by the offense to kind of maintain composure in a game where the Titans put up 14 points without scoring anything on offense. So that's nuts because in more football games than not, if you give up a pick 6 and a kick return or punt return, what was it? Punt or kick? I don't remember which one it was. Okay, then you're probably going to end up losing the game. Or you're going to have a much tougher battle on your hands, but they were able to recover and put this one away, in the second half. So again, kudos to them. But can we please just get a break 1 week? I would love for that to happen. Like, I know everybody's going to say that was last week, but I guess I'm greedy. I want my team to be good consistently.
Yeah, I know. And everybody was going into this game going, all right, like Titans are down most of their star players. This will be a breeze. It'll be on the road, and then injuries happen and all these other things, and then like not only is there a pick six and a punt return touchdown, but then you've got Dicker kicking the ball out of bounds and giving them a short field, which ended up resulting in 3. The long snapper, what's his name? I don't even remember his name, but I don't want to learn it because I mean it felt like.
Lovato.
I don't want to know it.
That's okay. Call him Demi. That's what I'm doing.
Demi Lovato. I might rather have Demi Lovato out there, but like every snap felt like it was offline today. He skipped a snap to J.K. Scott while he's lined up in the end zone to punt, and luckily J.K. collected it and punted it and got the kickoff. But I mean, special teams has become an issue. It's been a couple weeks, but I can't wait till Demi Lovato is out and they bring somebody else in. So as long as Harris is back, they'll be fine. But and also speaking of like singers, that going Madison Beer to commercial after a Herbert touchdown is a nice little touch by CBS today. I love those little like nods to little things within a game, and that was a good one. But so going into the game, you're feeling pretty good. They they trounced Minnesota. And then Bobby Hart, who's been a revelation this season somehow, comes in and gets hurt immediately. And then Trey Pipkins comes in and Herbert is under duress immediately. As soon as Pipkins came in, immediately everything shifted, everything changed, and it became just a mess. Bobby Hart, they said, was a groin injury, and then they changed it to groin and ankle. So I don't know about that, but we got to talk about Joe Alt because he was, the most important player for this offense, not named Justin Herbert. When he went down, the Chargers just couldn't put anything together. And then eventually he comes back and things are starting to settle down a little bit. And now he gets injured again by, I think it was SJD, by the way, former Charger, flying in out of nowhere.
Bozeman, see, that was crazy.
Yeah. I did see Bozeman push him, but it was just like he came flying out of nowhere. And then a cart came out, which the future outlook of the Chargers this season, at least, if Joe Alt's out for extended period of time and you've got Bobby Hart out for an extended period of time, is just not good. It was already kind of murky, and I know 6-3 is great, and they're doing awesome this season, and I do feel like Herbert will find a way. I mean, Harbaugh will find a way to get them to into the playoffs still and all that, but losing Joe Alt is going to be a problem moving forward. Though I will say, I feel like Salyer was pretty good today for the most part. I know he had the penalty, but I kept looking over at Salyer and he seemed pretty steady today. So hopefully they'll be okay. Interior is still just a mess. Becton's still not in there, but this offensive line, I don't know what you do now. I know we talked about trades and everything else, but it just feels like if you're gonna make a trade, it's almost like you got to make 4 moves in that offensive line, 4 or 5, if not a wholesale change of the entire group inside. So I don't know, man. This is a really tough pill to swallow now with losing Joe Alt and then also Bobby Hart in the same game.
I think I'm going to start calling Bradley Bozeman Pennywise because he haunts everybody. He doesn't discriminate. What's really scary about this is he's literally the gift that keeps on giving. What he doesn't do in game as far as blowing assignments, he turns around and like you mentioned, he pushes SJD and launches him into Alt's legs, which I don't know why this keeps happening. The tackles continuously get rolled up on. It's the same thing for almost every injury. And now you're talking about a situation where the guy who hadn't played meaningful football in 3 years is out for however long. And now who knows what the hell is going on with Joe Alt. I'm going to tell you the truth. He looked a little differently on that cart this time than he did last time he went out. So I'm very concerned about what the prospects of that are. But also, what are you going to do offensively now? Like you mentioned before, we kind of had an idea of what they might try to go in and fortify here before the trade deadline. But at this point, Jamari Sawyer held his own at right tackle, and it's been proven out he's probably a better swing tackle than he ever was a guard, even though he has more of a guard build. He's definitely more serviceable on the outside. And now you're just playing musical chairs again on the interior. But apparently, in order for Bradley Bozeman to get benched, he's gonna have to like punt a baby before the game starts. Something along those lines. It's got to be something super egregious because now he's cost you Joe Alt, and he cost you Joe Alt. Think about it. It's not just Herbert. It's Herbert's blind side that's now affected because next thing is now you've got a quarterback who's going to be. You got to be worried. It's coming from the front side, back side. Pause. I know that was crazy, but just moving forward, Herbert's going to have that internal clock that's sped up now because he can't trust anything. Now you're a situation where you can't have just anybody on the left side. It's got to be whatever your best option is. You're definitely not going to be able to go get anyone that's going to be a difference maker at this point, unless they can find somebody on a scrap heap and somehow make them a serviceable tackle. It maybe changes the calculus of what they decide to do here before Tuesday. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to figure out how they maneuver this all. But the last thing we could afford to happen was waiting all that time to get Joe Alt back, having him for a game and a quarter and a half, and now being back in the same predicament we were. Well, actually worse because now there's no heart. Mm-hmm. So the most important side of the offense for me is like the interior, and then of course your tackle position. But as a whole, your offensive line is now completely in flux. And though you walked away with the win today, you got a matchup next week where we're talking about a Pittsburgh Steelers team that just beat the Colts, who likes to play a very physical brand of football. And one of the best parts of their game is getting after the quarterback. And they have people who can do it on the interior and on the edges. So it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver this week, what the game plan will be going into next week. But yeah, lots of questions. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on the day. Chargers get a win that they absolutely had to get, but can't help but look forward a little bit.
Yeah, well, of course, when a big injury like Joe Alt goes down, and then Bobby Hart on top of it in a single game, I think it's pretty natural to look forward at what's to come for this offense. And the Chargers were looking at interior offensive linemen as of like this weekend, nearing the trade deadline, and now I don't know what their plan is. Is it they've been rumored around like Breece Hall and everything, but is that even worth pursuing now at this point? It just feels like the whole perspective of this team building and how they're going to approach the trade deadline changes after this game, which is just a shame because it felt like if all things considered, they would have added another interior offensive lineman. It probably could have like helped them going into the playoffs. But if you're talking no tackles, your guards are still a mess and Bozeman is still the worst, then I don't know what to tell you. It's a hard thing to put together, and we'll see. We'll see. It feels like they probably now sit on their hands at the trade deadline is my guess, but just because there's just so many moves to make, and I don't think they can. But anyway, let's move
also
on.
The Broncos just won, by the way. Field goal.
Broncos won?
Yeah, walk-off field goal, 18-15.
God, man. Every time we get on here and there's a close Broncos game, they end up pulling it out. That's the second time this year. Well, bummer. Okay, well. It was closer than I thought it was going to be after Stroud went out. But anyway, sure. Let's talk about the offense. So we're already talking about Joe Alt. We talked about them driving for 99 yards and a touchdown after the goal line stand that I felt like really helped shift the game. But can we talk about QJ a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Because he got that touchdown pass, which Herbert made an incredible layered throw to drop it over Armour Davis and right into QJ's hands near the core of the end zone. But also, I felt like even more impressive from QJ was that back shoulder fade where it's 3rd and 4 and QJ's just one-on-one on the outside, and Herbert didn't even think twice about it. Threw it up to him, trusted him, and QJ made a really, really nice adjustment and was able to make the catch on the sideline, get both feet in bounds. It was really good body control, which I don't know that we've ever really seen a lot of that. It felt like the body control from QJ over the years has been like minimal, and you could see him getting like worked out of bounds sometimes, and that jump ball stuff never really was his forte. But this time he got the win on the outside, a pretty ballsy call from Herbert to make that throw on a 3rd and 4. But an even better decision from QJ, able to make that catch and come in bounds.
I'd say the ballsy part about it was throwing it to who he threw it to in that situation,
Yeah, sure.
because
Yeah.
in that scenario, and this is no slight to QJ, of course, people think we hate him over here. The point is that that's not his game. And in a scenario
Mhm.
like that, you probably want somebody who's better in contested situations. What he did really well was he adjusted late. The corner did actually get his head around, and it scared me for a second because I thought he was going to be able to make a play on the ball. But QJ was able to slow his momentum, like you mentioned, the body control, and almost kind of guide the corner past him and then come back to the ball. The corner, maybe for like a second, if he gets his head around a second earlier, he may be able to slow down his momentum, and that becomes more of a contested situation. But QJ did a really good job not overselling the route and giving away when the ball was actually in his vicinity, and he made a huge play. That catch for the TD was super impressive for a couple of reasons. Number one, the throw from Herbert was ridiculous. This is a weekly occurrence. Who's actually surprised by now? Uh, but QJ making that reception was like over the shoulder, overhead. He had to cradle catch it, but then also it wasn't like the clearest line of sight to that ball. That ball just got over that DB's outstretched arm. And so I'm sure his vision was obstructed a bit. The fact that he was able to still judge the ball properly, get his hands on it and look it in, like you saw him make a concerted effort to look that ball in. And cradle catches are easy to miss because you can alligator arm them if you don't look the ball all the way in. He did a tremendous job there. So again, more growth. After having no targets last week, he made 2 huge catches this week. And again, as we say, we will give him props when props are deserved, and he absolutely got them this week.
Yeah, yeah, impressive job from QJ. Not really like uh overall an impressive performance from the wide receivers. There wasn't like, nobody really showed out. There wasn't a ton of big gainers today outside of like a pretty big catch from Gadsden up the seam for like 30 something yards. But yeah, Gaston was good today. Ladd had a few drops, but I know he didn't really like show up on the stat sheet a lot, but Trey Harris
Yep.
had 2 pretty important catches today.
Yes.
One where he made an excellent catch on it was the second drive where he worked back to the football. Herbert was getting pressured, but for him, there was a DB right on his back. And if he holds still and stays plant and lets that DB's getting inside of his body, probably an incompletion, but to work back to the ball, get that catch, and then work his way to a first down was really, really impressive. And then obviously that catch and second effort with 3 defenders draped all over him to get that first down, which McCoy challenged for whatever reason. To get that first was so important on that drive, and just felt like a play that he was probably dead for, a couple yard gain and short of the first down, but it was all effort. And he made that effort and got the catch and got the first down.
This is becoming another reoccurring theme. Trey Harris in big plays. That second effort play to convert on a gotta have it third down is potentially even the difference in the game. If we're being honest, that's not to say that we know for certain that Tennessee would have scored, but you don't convert there. Let's say you feel like you have to punt. I mean, I forget where they were on the field, if they were in plus territory or not. I don't quite recall, but I mean, yeah, they may have even gone for it. If it was that close, you could have. I mean, I'm not going to call it that. If they wanted to go for a short yardage QB sneak situation, then cool. But I don't know for certain that they would have done it. Trey Harris is someone that they're trying to incorporate more into the offense. You're seeing this now every week, but we talked about this. It's a good problem to have. You didn't expect Gaston to show up as early as he has. Trey Harris was someone that I thought that would be a contributor eventually in the season as the season went along. I thought it would maybe come at the expense of Keenan. I think it has just a little bit. But you've got all these options in the passing game, and there's only one ball. So Trey Harris being able to be someone that you can go to in the clutch when defenses are keying in on, like, say, third down. Of course, everyone's looking at Ladd and Keenan. Well, you got Rondé Gaston you can go to, or you got Trey Harris that you can go to. You're showing now, or Herbert showing that he has confidence to even go to QJ in these situations as well. So having these many options is a fantastic thing for 10, because one of the primary focuses, if it wasn't the focus of the all season, was to get Herbert more weapons. And now they've done that. Would say they did their job on that part. The offensive line, still a thing, but you can't fix everything in one off season, apparently. And even when you try to plug holes here and there, you can't account for this rash of injuries that seems to just not want to go away. The injury reaper resides with the LA Chargers. He pays rent to hang out with the Chargers, and he just travels like every once in a while to other teams. But he's hanging out in LA. That's where his primary residence is. So every week, somebody else goes down, and they just have to make adjustments. And you have to be happy that they're figuring out ways to still soldier through and get to these W's in the midst of all of this.
Yeah.
But it's going to get tougher as they start playing tougher competition. You know, you ran up against a Vikings team last week that were missing some key players. You went up against a bunch in the Titans that look like they're sitting guys because they're probably going to trade them. I don't know if all these dudes are hurt, but you know, you didn't have to go against Jeffrey Simmons. I don't think they're really trying to go give up Simmons unless they get an offer that blows them away. But I cannot imagine what today would have looked like if Jeffrey Simmons was playing. There was no Arden Key, who's a pass rush specialist, but you can only play who's out there. So bravo to the team for doing what they had to do to get a win. Again, offensively, they just figured it out. It's going to be tough to do this again against stiffer competition, but you'll take what you can get.
So on that play from Trey Harris, they were on their own 45.
Okay.
So
if he doesn't convert that and it's a yard short from the 45, I don't know that they wouldn't have gone for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's close enough to midfield to where you could, you know, you're having success doing QB sneaks. Who's to say they wouldn't have tried it there? But either way, you know, it's not a thing because Trey Harris, with that amazing effort, makes it happen on his own.
Right. But I do think as a coach, you make that call and you go for it there and try to ice the game because Tennessee hasn't been able to get anything going. They had no touchdowns on the day. So trying to make them...
the Vikings just beat the Lions?
I think they were beating them all day today, weren't they?
I hadn't seen anything about this game.
Oh, was it close?
27-24.
Okay. I think the Bears and Bengals game is the one to watch. They're like in the 40s. That game, like that defense, there's no defense in that game, which is fun.
Sorry, they caught my attention. I glanced at the TV and I thought it was a typo.
Offensively, anything else you want to give Scott Matlock his flowers on that design TD rollout there?
There are a couple things I want to say about Scott Matlock.
Okay, I know you love big man TDs. Go ahead.
I'm happy that he caught the ball. That freaked me out when I saw that he slipped out into the flat and that Herbert was looking at him and seriously considering that throw. I'm like, I don't care that he's open. I have the weirdest feeling that once that ball leaves Herbert's hands, that dude's going to trip over his own feet and it's just going to fly past him and into a defender's hands or whatever. But no, he made the catch and good for him. You know, the defense definitely wasn't expecting that. I will say, though, what I'm tired of seeing, it looks so bad. Aesthetically, it's just horrible. Whenever Scott Matlock is in motion, he doesn't run. He does like this little, I'm trying to think of what it looks like. It's a cartoon that I can't think of, but his legs don't move in like a normal gait. They're like the squatty waddling thing he does down the line of scrimmage. It looks horrible. I'm like, dude, just run. But I'm thinking maybe he runs that way because he's 300 pounds and that he's afraid that his momentum is going to take him beyond who he has to block. So whatever you have to do to get it done. But I'm still a fan of Tucker Fisk over Scott Matlock. But Matt, Scott, I'm not gonna give you a hard time. You scored a TD. I don't know how you did as a blocker today. I'm just accustomed to you not doing very much, but you put points on the board, so I won't give you a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a positive from Matlock, which has been a little bit few and far between, especially to start the year. But Fisk and Matlock haven't been total liabilities the last couple weeks, and that's an improvement. And you gotta love a big man touchdown, and I guess we can just give it to him today. Anything else offensively? I know we kind of brushed over Jarrett Patterson, but obviously the most effective runner today. Did good in spots, and I want to commend the coaching staff with riding the hot hand. You know, towards the end of that game, could have been easy to go back to your, quote unquote starter with Vidal, but Patterson was obviously the better runner today. He was getting the most positive yards. It felt like Vidal was just hesitant today. I don't know what was going on, but Patterson was getting the most yards on the ground, and they just stuck with him and kept going towards the end of that game. And I think that's nice for a coaching staff, because the guy on the other side of the sideline was not doing that when he was the head coach for the Chargers. He was riding with the veteran no matter what, no matter who scored or what they did.
How many times they fumbled?
Yeah. How many times they fumbled. But yeah, the fact that they went with Patterson because he was just playing better that day, and in that quarter and in that moment, I commend the coaching staff for doing that. And I think it was good. And he got some pretty important yards towards the end of that game too.
Hold on, man.
What?
Another timeout. The Panthers just beat the Packers. Okay, so you telling me that all of
Oh
these
my
crap
God.
teams are beating good teams, but we couldn't get a Broncos loss today?
Wow. In
Could you
Green Bay
imagine if
too,
the
I think.
Chargers lost this game?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yo,
That game was
this
in
is
Green Bay, wasn't it?
looks like it.
Hmm.
16-13, man. Come on.
I saw
Now,
Tucker Kraft go down today. That's terrible for them.
oh, did not know
It's
that.
oh
They
yeah.
probably lost because of these crazy throwback unis that they feel the need to have to wear. This looks nuts. Like a faux leather
Oh
helmet
yeah. That was
is
ridiculous. Yeah.
wild.
Buffalo just scored, by the way. If we're updating, they're up 7-0 on the Chiefs.
Okay, well, there's still hope for at least one game.
There we go. That's the one. Chiefs are the one we're worried about as Charger fans.
Yeah, for sure.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, offensively, I think we want to just give a collective round of applause to the O-line. Again, in the second half, they played some pretty clean football. There was some really nasty work, of course, on the interior between Bradley Bozeman and Zion Johnson. But what else is new? Twists and stunts. Just
we're gonna see so many of those next week. It's gonna be twist and stunt central.
Yeah, just get ready to line up in max protection. I'd say like make that the primary set. Whatever you line up in, just make sure there's max protect call for it more often than not, because Herbert is going to be under siege next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, for what they did in the second half, pulling it together from a procedural perspective, like there weren't a whole lot of calls, like, false start calls, things of that nature. You're playing on the road, so that could have been a thing. It wasn't a huge thing this week, and especially with like all the different bodies in and out of the lineup, that wasn't really a thing. So again, bravo to them for that. Herbert did get tattooed on several occasions, which it wasn't great, but I don't know what else you can expect from what was out there, the collection of bodies that are now in front of him. But yeah, for what they were able to do in the second half and just get some effective offense going, because look, the fact that they were able to drive 99 yards on 14, 15 plays, that's no small feat with what Herbert had in front of them. So you got to give him, credit where credit is due. Definitely wasn't the cleanest game, but at least from a procedural standpoint, there weren't a ton of penalties. So that was awesome.
Yeah. So good from the offensive line. I feel like when Becton comes back, Foster Sorrell was not very good today, especially early on.
Oh, we gotta talk about Becton.
Yeah, so Becton hopefully comes back and improves that situation. Salyer, I'm not as worried about Salyer as I am about Pipkins, but I guess we got to see what's going on with Alt and Hart before we can start shuffling that offensive line. But they're probably gonna need to get some kind of depth at some point on that offensive line anyway. And not that I'm a big Becton fan, but Foster Sorrell is no bueno. All right, so let's talk about defense, because we only did a little bit, and I'd like to start off with the new addition, Odafe Oweh, if you want to. I mean, getting back-to-back sacks, yeah, back-to-back sacks. During a time when the Titans had to respond, the Chargers just went 99 yards for a touchdown, like we've been mentioning. That very next drive, it's, Titans got to do something, and Oweh, back-to-back sacks, 4 games. And I said it on Twitter, I'll say it again, like all week, Raven fans have been tweeting out like, oh, Gilman has been a PFF like best graded safety, and we've seen that for years as Charger fans. And if that helps you sleep at night and that brings you solace as a Ravens fan, that's great. But if we're talking about real production on the football field, we're talking about a player who's gotten sacks in as many games as he's played for the Chargers, and a Raven safety who is still missing tackles. Every Raven game I've seen now, he's missed at least 1 tackle, which has been 2 so far for me. I haven't watched the other 2, and I'm sure there's some there. But it is by far on the Charger side so far in terms of, the production they're getting from an edge rusher, where they really, really needed some juice off the edge, and they're starting to get it here from Oweh.
The quickest way to have me disregard anything that you have to say with an opinion about football is starting your statement off with, well, the PFF grade. Anything that follows that, I ain't hearing it. So yeah, Odafe Oweh. I'll go ahead and pat myself on the back for calling this acquisition 2+ months ago. So we got 2 sacks today, 4 in 4 games. And this is all after having none the first few weeks as a Raven, where he was also falling out of that edge rotation. He's doing exactly what you need from a player of his abilities. Crazy archetype as an edge rusher. Length. The dude ran a 4.4, high 4.4s. At his pro day. So he's got the athleticism. He's got bend. He can make life a living hell for any type of QB. But you saw some of those, the technique is improving. That's always been the biggest thing. He's always been an athletic freak, but from a technique standpoint, he left a whole lot left to be, or has a whole lot left to be desired. But you see the development there. He's using his hands, developing some moves, some counters that are helping him win. And getting sacks on back-to-back plays today was like a total momentum killer. Like anything that Tennessee Titans had going or they felt confident about, I think all the air was taken out of their sails on those two back-to-back plays. And you need an edge rusher with that level of athleticism that can win instantly off the line of scrimmage, but also can track down some of these more athletic quarterbacks. Cam Ward isn't what you would necessarily call a running QB, but he's one of those escape artists who will get outside of the pocket. And you saw it on a few occasions today. He can make plays and throws down the field using the legs to extend plays. And then you see these broken plays where wide receivers can find open holes in the defense because there's only so long you can cover. And some of the Chargers' issues have been that they don't really have the type of athleticism on the edge to corral guys like that. And that's why these plays break so huge and have in the past. But you have a guy now that can help quell some of that. Is his game perfect? No, but he's still growing. And as somebody who's a really, really raw prospect coming out of Penn State, you've now seen him with the Chargers for a month, and he's already giving you the level of production. Like I know he had 10 sacks last year. Great. But you still saw some holes in his game that need to be shored up. And in 4 weeks, I think I've seen some of the best play from Oweh that I've seen in his career. And I'm not saying that because I'm being a Chargers homer. I mean it because I watched a ton of Odafe Oweh. He was somebody that I really liked in his draft class. I knew it was going to be a project, but I felt like if the right coaching staff got their hands on him, they could make a real player out of him. And here we are already. And you're seeing, that payoff. And once again, Joe Ortiz going back to the old Ravens well and getting a player. And yeah, Alohi Gilman was fine when he was asked to do the things that he was good at with the Chargers. If you had him playing in the box, he was really good at having a nose for the ball and being around the ball. Was never a really sound tackler, but what he did make were plays in piles and in bunches. So if you can get like multiple hats to the ball, he'll do something like force a turnover. He'll punch a ball out. He'll rip a ball away from a guy. He'll step in front of something that's underneath and pick it off. He's a splashy playmaker if you're playing him in like the first two levels of the second level of defense as an underhand safety. Anything in the deep third, toast, complete toast. Tackling in the open field one-on-one, complete liability. So as long as you have him do what he does well, then he's great. But when you ask him to step outside of that lens, it gets really ugly really quickly. So no, Ravens fans, we don't hate Gilman. We're just, depending on who you watch, we'll give people a hard time when they do stuff that sucks because, we like poking at people a little bit like that. But also, we'll give respect to him for what he's done. And if he's working out great for y'all, cool. But we're happy with what we got.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a chance it's one of those where it works out for both teams. But yeah, it wasn't working here for Gilman. And I'm glad that the Chargers got Oweh. I'm curious what they're going to do with this offseason. I'm sure he's going to be a priority to sign as a free agent for sure after what's been going on. But still got plenty of the season left to go, so we'll see how it all works out. I do want to say also, since we're talking about sacks, Henley got a big sack today, which means a little bit more to him, I'm sure, after just losing his brother 2 days ago, Jabari, who was tragically killed. But to get that sack and then fall on his knees and kind of honor his brother was probably a pretty big moment for him. It felt like it through the TV, but really big day for Henley, who outside of that sack, got some tackles, and he chased down Spears, I think, from behind to get that tackle short of a first down, which was impressive. But he's not blowing the doors off like he did at the beginning of the season, but a nice play today, getting that sack, finishing the sack, which we can't say about Bud Dupree today or any other week this season. But Henley getting that sack is a pretty big deal.
If he had played today, I wouldn't have blamed him.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have been able to be completely honest with you. Get me home. I need to get back to my family. But different guy, different situation for him. He felt like the best way to get through it for the time being, and wanting to also be there for his teammates. Like, you're literally putting your personal feelings and emotions aside to be out there with your teammates, who I'm sure he considers brothers, definitely not by blood, but he wanted to put it out. He didn't want to leave them hanging. You prepare all week with the intention of going out there as a unit and putting your best effort out there on the field collectively and, trying for a win. You lose a family member, man, I don't even know how you can focus on anything else, let alone like it's his brother, So yeah, went out there, played more than admirably, made some splash plays. The sack was huge. Like you mentioned, making that stop right before the first down marker in coverage after, giving up the reception, still making the play to stop it short of a first. I mean, he's dealt with a lot this year, between the illness, trying to play through that, and recovering from that over the last few weeks to now having this tragedy happen. I don't have anything negative to say about this man, because just in life, dealing with some of the stuff that he's had to deal with for the last month and a half collectively is not something a lot of people would have been able to do, let alone do it successfully. So yeah, hard day for him. I'm sure now that the game's over, he has to go back home with the reality of like not having his sibling there and dealing with everything that comes with that. So nothing but thoughts and prayers from, me and us. I'm sure it goes out to his family and, just the process of moving forward. But right now, what's important is getting home and getting to your people so you can start the mourning process.
Yeah. Leading tackler today. He played to honor his brother today. Got the sack and a nice little homage to his late brother. Who else do you want to talk about defensively, Greg?
So, I mean, good or bad?
Let's stick with good and then we'll get to bad.
Okay. Jamari Caldwell, again, shows up in the run game. Couple splash plays against the run. Those plays in the margins that people don't really pay attention to. And this is one of those thankless positions, I call them. When you play interior defensive line, if you're not always making the play, people don't really pay attention to you, but it's not always about you being the guy to make the tackle. If you're murking things up and then you open up a lane for a second level, third level defender to make the play, you are just as big a part of that play as they were. And he did a lot of that today. There was some stuff going on in the trenches where he was having to beat double teams and really anchoring down, even if he wasn't making a play, but occupying two offensive linemen so Perriman can shoot a gap, so Deion can get through. I just want to make sure that he gets his props and we give him his flowers, because that's just the dirty grunt work that people don't appreciate. And defensive linemen, like I said, it's a position that if you aren't the guy that, ends the play, then you probably won't get a whole lot of recognition from just people who watch the game casually, but folks that are sickos about football like we are. You see stuff like that, and you know for certain that if he doesn't exist to do some of the stuff that he's doing, then the other stuff doesn't happen at all. So I definitely want to for sure say good game to that rookie, and I think he's actually been really and truly probably the one of the best defensive linemen on the team so far through this year, next to T.R. Tart. And we got Egg Boy out there doing his thing as well. But for sure, I want to call him out because it's becoming a weekly thing.
Yeah. I was going to shout out Egg Boy too. Do another guy doing the dirty work inside. And T.R. Tart feels like he's getting some kind of penalty every week, whether it's like some kind of unnecessary roughness or something after the play, man. He's
the heel, man. He's the heel. He's the bad guy.
Yeah. And every team's got to have one, I guess. And it's like after that, what he hit, was it when he hit Mahomes in the head or what? I can't remember what happened.
No, hit Mahomes or slapped Kelsey.
Oh, that was it, where he slapped Kelsey. That's when he had his heel turn. Yeah. And then he's just been keeping it up all season long.
I don't know if you guys can see the background of my phone.
Can you swipe? We can kind of see it. Can you swipe left on it? All the apps are up.
Oh, sorry. I got too much stuff up here.
We got to see your text though. That's pretty cool.
I'm losing Showtime for this.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the background of my phone.
Yep.
Yeah. Love it. Look at it every day.
Like a Batman cartoon. That's cool. And then also, I do want to shout out Denzel Perryman a little bit here today, because he started off kind of rough. Like he dropped one of the easiest interceptions you'll see. And it wasn't like to the equivalent where it was like, a pop fly that he had to catch and he dropped it, but it hit his hands and he had the beat on it and it was right to him and he dropped it. And then the very next play, he misses a tackle in the run game, which would have been a negative play. And Spears got loose for 7. But to hold up and be that like last man of defense on that 4th down stop where Elijah Molden slants in perfectly, cuts between the offensive line, knifes through, tackles the running back with like one arm, is draped over his back, and then Perryman's just the wall to make sure he doesn't hit that goal line to get that stop for a kind of rough start to that game. Perryman getting a lot of kind of cleanup duty today, but to help pitch in on that goal line stand, I think was pretty important. So those are the plays you kind of remember at the end. You kind of want to forget the dropped interception and the missed tackle, but nice little play towards the end to help his day out at least.
So I guess I have to play bad cop because he's part of the bad.
He is. He had a bad day, but that one play did help. Kind of help loosen the load a little bit.
The thing that's concerned me about Perriman now is that he used to be a lot better at finishing plays. Like, he doesn't have the longest arm, so sometimes he can just get like stiff armed out of tackles. But man, when he's shooting these gaps and getting penetration and making contact, he's not finishing plays that he typically would have, like, or historically would have. Mm-hmm. That pick, you talking about frying pan hands? Oh God, I don't think there's going to be an easier one. Like, but it was. The problem that I'm having right now is him not finishing plays. So you can add the missed pick to it, not just tackling, because it's great to get there, but it doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't finish the play and there's still positive yards that come from it. If you're talking about a play that could have ended in like 2-3 yards, like as a tackle for loss, and it ends up being a 1-yard gain, that's not a win. It looks good that you got through and that you initiated contact and the play didn't break for a huge gain, but all those little yards count, especially when we're talking about in the run game. So you can't find yourself getting in position to make a play and not being able to finish. So that's something he's got to clean up. I do still like that he plays with the level of like aggression that he does. Like, that's always been a huge part of his game. Look, Miami Hurricanes fan, I know all about Denzel. I know about what type of game that he has. I know where his strengths are, but getting a hat to the ball is great, but you got to bring the guy down. And that's how you help your defense out. That's how you help in games where field position is a huge deal. Like, every game, field position matters. But when you have a team, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, that's dealing with as many injuries as the Chargers are, like on the offensive line, then those plays, again, like I said, in the margins are what matter. And so you've got to become more sound there. But he made some good plays here and there, but it was just kind of like an uneven day. I want to see him get a little bit better. But he's still showing up. Yeah.
So Derwin James had a pretty good game today. Love that play, blowing up the block and attacking Spears on the pass. Thule got a sack today, almost kind of a fumble on that last play before the half. But
what did they call? Did they call that a fumble or incompletion?
I think they, I don't know.
They blew it dead because the lineman ended up catching the ball. So I guess that was weird.
I think they blew it dead because the offensive lineman, they stopped his progress. Like, he wasn't going anywhere. He was wrapped up.
They blew that whistle kind of early, in my opinion. But
yeah, they did. But outside of that, what else? You talked about Perryman. What else do you want to talk bad wise? Giving him no touchdowns today defensively.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the 14 points off of the board from special teams and a pick six, then you can't really complain a whole lot about what happened at the defense. What I will say is, in the first half, the pass rush was not as consistent as I would have liked. Yeah. And what that caused were like these huge cavernous openings and windows for Cam Ward to deliver passes down the field into. You got to get that like short up. If you're not getting home with 4, I hate having to send the extra guy, but you got to do what you got to do. Derwin was in there just wreaking havoc, as he does, especially we're talking about a dude who came off the field last week and couldn't put pressure on his ankle. Looks just fine this week. I have no idea if they laced his bones with adamantium last week or something between that Vikings game and now, but looked like regular old Derwin to me. Collectively, I would say that the defense did a really good job. There was some early leaky again in pass defense and some early runs that were breaking that I didn't love, but they more than held their own under the circumstances. And again, if you didn't give up a touchdown, I'm not sure how much there is to really complain about.
Yeah. All right. If you guys got any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. Stephen P updating us. Tucker Craft most likely tore his ACL per Rappaport. Yeah, it sucks, man. An ascending young tight end. Man, he was looking good to start the season.
No. One more.
Yeah.
From is this Jaguar man F-type? Oh yeah, the car. Yes, we call him Egg Boy. I'm not sure how long you've been around, but it's a thing here.
Yeah.
So we're mispronouncing the name on purpose.
Yeah.
There's a whole story behind that.
That came from the draft. The draft podcast or live draft show, if you've been listening that long. But he'll always be Egg Boy to us. And then if you guys got any other questions, feel free. Anything else you want to touch on outside of how bad special teams was today?
Oh, you actually went directly to what I wanted to touch on.
Oh, okay. And is that Ficken letting us down, or what's the?
Okay.
Is it Lovato? I can give you a little bit Lovato, but go ahead.
So here's my thing. I'm a little concerned. Not necessarily. I don't think Ficken got worse as a coach. What I do think is an issue is the personnel on special teams. I don't remember who this was, but I'm gonna talk about what you gave me a hard time about. I don't remember who it was. But when I said Jasir Taylor needed to be cut over the offseason, I was told that really just shouted down by folks who were lauding him as being a special teams ace. Well, your ace was out there playing two-hand touch with one hand today. And he's offering absolutely nothing on special teams. All he does is overrun plays. So if he's a net negative at the thing that everybody says that he was great at, then what's the point of keeping him around? Because we know what he is as a defender. So now if he just keeping warm bodies around for the hell of it, then I don't know what else to say. But me personally, I'm not seeing him be the type of player on special teams that he was discussed. I'm not saying he's always been bad, but he's been terrible this season. And just overall, between the Lovato snaps, which hopefully this is the last week we even have to deal with that. So, let bygones be bygones with that. But the coverage is terrible. Every week it looks like somebody's going to break on a return, specifically on kickoff. I don't understand that. It's setting up returns specifically. I don't know if it could be right or left returns. Doesn't really matter. But when Cameron Dicker is one-on-one with the return man, I'm holding my breath, as I'm sure everyone else is, but that's happening far too frequently. The problem is that if you want the special teams to get better, then you're probably going to have to put better players out there. And I actually saw Denzel Henley on coverage team at some point today. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that or seen it recently, but he was out there today. I'm not sure if he started that way or if they put him out there after a few of those DK returns. But yeah, that's the only way to really remedy it. Again, Egg Boy out there on kickoff looks great, but that dude's almost 300 pounds. And if he doesn't get someone in his direct line of sight and they can get to the outside, they can flank him, then he's useless in the play. So you need better athletes. I think there needs to be a better combination of size and athleticism, but more so athleticism on coverage teams. Having a defensive lineman out there, it was cute for the first couple of weeks when it works, but when it doesn't, it's bad. And then you got linebackers in chase behind these much faster wide receivers and running backs. You probably need more guys that are, some of your supporting guys in the secondary out there. I'm fine with linebackers. You got Troy Dye, who's out there who can do it. He's a core special teams guy, but he also contributes on defense as well. I just think that they're kind of lacking with regard to personnel on special teams. The Lovato thing, as long as he's not on the field again next week, I don't care. We were able to figure it out and get beyond it and not have it cost us a game, because at some point that crap was going to cost us a game. So yeah. Special teams is bad right now. I feel for Ryan Ficken because I think he's just working with what he has and just got to figure it out.
I am so over Rick Lovato. I know we talked about a little bit earlier this show, but long snapper is the easiest position in football. And it feels like you can hire guys off the street to be a long snapper, and to continue to have a guy like Rick Lovato, or as we're calling him, Demi, on this roster for very much longer is just hurting this team. And we could use like Demi Lovato says, it might be cool for the summer, but you're going to give me a heart attack if you keep having Lovato on this team. You have to let it go. You got to be confident. And that I'm saying, I'm sorry, not sorry. It might be Stone Cold, but this is me. Ortiz is dancing with the devil if he's going to keep going with Rick Lovato. Okay. Demi has got to go. Don't back down. Go for somebody else. I cannot keep watching Demi, and I will not keep listing Demi Lovato songs next week because he better not be on the field. We have got to see Josh Harris back, and I am so over this. I cannot keep and kudos to Dicker, who's able to still make these kick under pressure, but and to have Scott be able to like catch these balls over his shoulder and still pin him down so Dicker can kick him. It is they've got to find another way. This is terrible, and I really, really, really hope they find a new long snapper very soon.
J.K. Scott, you know what? I'm not going to apologize. I'm just not going to give you as hard of a time as I used to because I call J.K. Scott a front runner. I always say that he punts fine unless you need him to punt well, and then he almost always shanks it. For what you've done, catching some of these sprayed snaps that have been all over the place, securing these snaps so that Dickon can do his thing, you should be eligible for sainthood as soon as your days end, because there is the fact that you can't do the one thing that you do, the only thing you're asked to do, should be not just a fireable offense. We should be able to flog you for that. I'm not about violence, but I get a little emotional when it comes to football and my team. So I may say some off-putting things every once in a while. But dude, like, let's be honest. There's no reason why he should be on a roster doing this if you can't do the single thing that you're asked to do consistently. I can't remember how many snaps there were today, but at least 3 of them were horrible. I mean, to the point to where it could have thrown off the whole process of the play. Like, yes, there's a rhythm to getting the snap and then setting up as a kicker. You watch that ball, you watch the placement of it, but then you also have to time out your approach to it based on how the holder gets the ball. Like you might have to condense your entire stride if he bobbles the ball. And then in the midst of that, if you have to slow your stride down, then the momentum you build up from the stride towards the kick is affected. And you have to find that all over again in the middle of striding. Now, imagine that as a kicker. Like there's one motion that you have to make that you have a hitch in it now because you have to slow up your process because the guy who's only asked to get the ball from the line of scrimmage to the holder can't do it consistently. And it's probably in Dicker's head every time he's back there now. And he's still been able to be mostly consistent in the midst of all of that. So yes, get Lovato out of here. I don't know a whole lot of Demi Lovato songs. So,
okay.
You know, good on you. I know some of them by name, but I'm not a big Demi Lovato fan, sue me.
Okay.
But yeah, whatever goes on with him, I'm again hoping that this is in fact the last week. Get him gone. And from all indications, we should get our long snapper back next week, I believe. The window was open. He was practicing. He was limited. So hopefully this is the last week we got to deal with it. And this is the last time we have to talk about it because I am disgusted.
Me too. All right. Well, I think from here on out, we're good. Thanks everybody for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and make sure to follow us on Twitter and everything else. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we will see you next time.
Salute.